Today, April 6th, dawns with an undeniable surge of energy, a potent vibration that feels as if a profound door is opening both beneath your feet and above your head. The very atmosphere around you seems alive, subtly trembling and shifting with an ancient, stirring presence. You might sense this stirring deep in your chest, in the recesses of your memory, or within the quiet, intuitive corners of your being. Before we delve deeper, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment. Your engagement helps this vital message reach other souls destined to awaken through its wisdom. Now, pause and inhale deeply. Imagine the air entering your body carrying a specific code, a signal, a message uniquely intended for you. Understand that what is unfolding in your life today is far from random, accidental, or chaotic. Instead, it represents a profound karmic unveiling, a spiritual unearthing, and the cosmic unraveling of intricate patterns that have woven through your existence for years, perhaps even lifetimes. The emotions surging within you, the old fears resurfacing, and the memories appearing like echoes from forgotten timelines are not arbitrary. Each one is a crucial piece of a soul-level reveal, a grand disclosure. You are currently standing within a rare energetic alignment, a sacred corridor where your past and your future seamlessly blend into a single luminous thread. The universe is not pulling these things to the surface to overwhelm you. Rather, it does so because you have finally cultivated the inner strength to confront and comprehend what you were previously unable to face. This is not a punishment, it is a liberation, beautifully disguised as discomfort. This is the very moment your spirit has been diligently preparing for. The moment your past steps forward, not to reclaim you, but to set you free. Welcome to the prophecy you've been sensing in your very bones. Welcome to the profound truth your soul already inherently knows. Before we journey further, I want to share something truly transformative I've created for those who are ready to revolutionize their thoughts, feelings, and energetic connection to money. My new audiobook, Inner Wealth Rising, offers a powerful pathway to upgrade your financial identity through authentic emotional alignment and crystalline energetic clarity, moving away from pressure or constant hustle. Many people don't realize that their perceived money limitations stem from deeply ingrained old patterns and nervous system stories, not from a lack of effort. This audiobook provides gentle yet profound guidance to release scarcity consciousness and step into a sustainable, expansive wealth frequency. The link is available in the description below and in the pinned comment. Feel free to explore it and begin this essential shift if it resonates with your spirit. There are specific, pivotal moments when the universe intentionally guides you back into the deeper chambers of your own history. This journey is not meant to regress you, but rather to illuminate the subtle, loose threads that may still linger within your energetic field. In this present moment, the cosmos has pressed an invisible rewinds button on your internal timeline. This explains why old emotions have begun bubbling up, much like ancient, restless tides returning inexorably to the shore. You might suddenly notice fears you believed had long dissolved now speaking to you again, or memories you thought were deeply buried rising to the surface with startling, vivid clarity. Perhaps you feel a familiar heaviness settling in your chest, or you catch the faint, ethereal echo of an old identity whispering through your mind. None of this signifies failure. None of it means you are moving backward. On the contrary, it signifies that you are approaching the very core of your unique story. The old you. The version shaped by survival, heartbreak, abandonment, or scarcity is not returning to reclaim you. It is surfacing precisely because it no longer holds power over you, and it yearns to be released. This resurfacing is your soul's intelligent way of clearing residual energies, removing anything that cannot accompany you into your next expansive chapter. You are not meeting your past to relive its pain. You are meeting it to irrevocably free yourself from its grasp. Every human soul intrinsically carries a repeating pattern, a cyclical lesson that spirals through various relationships, choices, desires, and fears. Most individuals mistakenly perceive these recurring loops as misfortune or an unchangeable fate. However, you are now beginning to perceive them for what they truly are: unresolved vibrational signatures patiently awaiting their closure. The universe, in its profound wisdom, will continue to repeat whatever your soul attempts to avoid. If a truth remains unspoken, its presence only grows louder. If a wound is persistently ignored, it only becomes sharper. If a pattern is merely escaped, it will inevitably return, perhaps wearing a new face, manifesting in a new moment, or presenting itself in a new situation, but always carrying the identical underlying message. This is why you may be encountering familiar emotional themes once again, even if the external circumstances appear different. This is why the same core feelings are re-emerging from within you, gently but firmly urging you to face them head-on rather than attempting to outrun them. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Each resurfacing offers a profound spiritual opportunity to choose differently, respond differently, understand differently, and ultimately to transform the very timeline you inhabit. This is not a loop designed to trap you, unless you consciously decide to repeat it. Instead, it is a potent portal, inviting you to step through it with a newfound consciousness, thereby dissolving the pattern at its very root. If you find yourself feeling unusually emotional, perhaps weeping unexpectedly, experiencing sudden waves of grief or longing, or sensing old sadness rising through your body, understand that you are not breaking down. Rather, you are actively releasing deep emotional imprints that have resided in the deeper layers of your being for years, often decades. These feelings do not originate from this present moment. They are the echoes of unresolved experiences that your conscious mind may have moved past, but your physical body never fully processed. The intensity you feel stems from years of compression. This energy has patiently awaited a safe moment to surface, and now, your soul intuitively knows that you finally possess the inner strength and capacity to allow it to move freely through you. The universe does not clear your energy in small, fragmented pieces. It clears you in powerful waves. These emotional surges represent the final remnants of stories and narratives you no longer need to carry. Allow the tears to come. Permit the sensations to move through you without resistance. You are not losing control. You are, in fact, regaining alignment. Your emotional body is expanding, emptying, and making sacred space for the authentic self that is now rising from beneath the rubble of what you once survived. You may also notice that certain people from your past are resurfacing, either energetically or physically. They might appear vividly in your dreams, cross your thoughts with unusual clarity, or even re-enter your life in unexpected ways. This phenomenon is not mere nostalgia, it is, in essence, contract completion. Every meaningful connection you forge in this lifetime is intricately tied to an invisible soul agreement, and some of these agreements must be revisited and brought to closure, particularly when your path is undergoing a profound, transformative shift. These individuals return, not necessarily because they are meant to stay, but because there is something within your energetic field that is finally ready to be understood and integrated. The emotional reaction you experience toward them, whether it be longing, indifference, sadness, or a sense of closure, is the message itself. You are not simply revisiting the person, you are revisiting the version of yourself who once existed in their presence. What rises now does so to be healed. These returns serve as potent reminders, reflections, and catalysts. They appear so you can integrate what your soul has left unfinished. Regardless of whether they stay or depart again, what truly matters is the profound inner transformation they trigger within you. There are rare and powerful moments when your future pulls on you with such intense force that your past begins to tremble and shake. You might feel a distinct sensation of being torn between who you once were and who you are rapidly becoming, as if you are simultaneously inhabiting two versions of yourself. This sensation is not confusion, it is conversion, a profound internal transformation. Your most empowered, aligned, and awakened future self is actively calling you forward, accelerating your inner evolution. And when the future calls in this way, the past instinctively loosens its grip. This inner tremor, this subtle wobble, this feeling of being stretched across multiple layers of your identity, is a clear sign that your personal timeline is dynamically shifting. You are not being pulled backward into old wounds or familiar patterns. Instead, you are being pulled forward with such intensity that every unhealed part of your past is shaking loose and rising to be released. This is not regression, it is retrieval. You are gathering lost fragments of yourself, pieces that once splintered in moments of pain, confusion, or fear. You are in the sacred process of becoming whole again, and true wholeness always begins with this profound act of reclamation. Your physical body serves as the ultimate archive of every emotional, psychological, and spiritual experience you have ever endured. When deep karmic cycles resurface, the body becomes the sacred ground where the final, deepest layer of healing gracefully occurs. This is precisely why you may experience tension in your chest, persistent knots in your stomach, a pervasive heaviness behind your eyes, a profound fatigue that sleep seems unable to touch, or a subtle energy rippling through your spine like a quiet awakening. Your nervous system is undergoing a significant recalibration. It is actively releasing memories stored deep within your muscles, in the rhythm of your breath, in the beat of your heart, and in the subtle energetic rhythms that shape your physical presence. You are not malfunctioning, you are detoxing decades of unspoken emotional truth. Your body is purging the frequency of the old timeline so it can fully align with the higher vibration of the new one. Every sensation you feel, no matter how uncomfortable, is an integral part of your ascension process. This is not collapse, this is metamorphosis. Every resurfacing pattern brings with it a shadow, a hidden part of you that once expertly disguised itself for sheer survival. This aspect of yourself is now stepping courageously into the light, not to expose you, but to profoundly liberate you. You may feel raw, incredibly vulnerable, stripped of your customary emotional armor, as if layers you once relied upon no longer fit or serve you. That sensation is the unvarnished truth breaking through the intricate walls you meticulously built around it. Your shadow is not darkness. It is the part of you that internalized pain, fear, or abandonment long before you possessed the wisdom or capacity to fully understand it. Now, it emerges because your consciousness has expanded sufficiently to embrace it without collapsing under its weight. When you consciously turn toward your shadow, it no longer needs to chase you. When you truly listen to it, it no longer needs to scream for your attention. In acknowledging this once hidden piece of yourself, you dissolve the immense power it once held over your choices, your relationships, and your very identity. This is the pivotal moment when a lifelong loop begins to truly loosen its grip. This is the moment you courageously reclaim the version of yourself that once protected you by simply disappearing. There are subtle signs the universe sends, and then there are unmistakable shifts that feel like divine hands are gracefully rearranging the very furniture of your life. What you are currently experiencing is a cosmic intervention, a direct and profound recalibration of your path. The striking synchronicities, the repeated meaningful dreams, the potent sensations of déjà vu, the sudden emotional clarity that washes over you, the distinct feeling that something is profoundly dissolving while something entirely new is simultaneously forming. These powerful sensations are the universe communicating with you in its purest, clearest language. You are being redirected from within your deepest self. The old energetic structures in your life simply cannot support the higher vibrational version of you that is now emerging. Consequently, they are being dismantled. The people, the emotions, the habits, and the limiting beliefs that once kept you anchored to an outdated identity are steadily losing their gravitational pull. You are not imagining this monumental shift. You are not fabricating these signs. Your destiny is actively rearranging your reality, and everything that no longer aligns with the next, truer chapter of your life is falling away, piece by piece, truth by undeniable truth. There arrives a precise, sacred moment in every profound transformation when the soul unequivocally decides it will no longer carry the immense weight it once mistakenly identified as itself. You are standing in that very moment now, the vital threshold where an old chapter gracefully unravels, allowing a truer, more authentic version of you to powerfully rise. The past is resurfacing because it is finally ready to be released. The recurring patterns are resurfacing because they no longer resonate with your elevated vibration. The intense emotions are resurfacing because they deeply desire to be felt fully, completely, and ultimately freed. You are not spiraling backward, you are shedding what no longer resonates with the magnificent person you are actively becoming. You are stepping out of an outdated version of yourself. And while this profound process may feel disorienting or even chaotic at times, it is, in essence, the deepest act of self-liberation your soul has ever initiated. The old cycle has reached its natural and purposeful end. What falls away now does so because it has completed its destined purpose. What remains will intricately shape the next glorious chapter of who you are truly meant to be. Within every profound transformation, there is a sacred moment where the internal landscape begins to shift in ways that feel simultaneously destabilizing and absolutely necessary. It's as though something deep within your core starts folding in on itself, not because you are breaking, but because the version of you that once held everything together can no longer contain or carry what your soul is now striving to become. This inner collapse feels like the softening of the very ground beneath your emotional and spiritual foundations, the gradual dissolving of the rigid structures you once clung to for a sense of safety and security. You might feel old certainties slipping through your fingers, old coping mechanisms losing their potency, and old stories no longer able to justify your pain or validate your past choices. This collapse is not chaos, it is, in truth, the purposeful dismantling of a life meticulously built on outdated truths and limiting beliefs. You begin to realize that the stability you once so desperately relied on was not genuine stability at all. It was merely familiarity, carefully shaped by survival patterns you outgrew long ago. You can sense the slow, deliberate unraveling of inherited beliefs, those you absorbed from family, society, past trauma, and even older versions of yourself, now steadily losing their tenacious grip on your consciousness. Emotional patterns rooted in fear, scarcity, abandonment, or self-protection begin to wobble and crumble, not because you're failing, but because your spirit is resolutely refusing to remain confined within the small, restrictive spaces you once forced yourself to fit into. You might perceive confusion rising like a dense mist around your mind, because your intuition is growing louder, insistently urging you to see through the cracks of old realities while your logical mind becomes quieter, unable to fully interpret a reality now built from higher, more expansive truths. This inner collapse feels like a spiritual molting, akin to the cracking of a protective shell that once served you, but now severely restricts your growth. Shells do not crack politely. They split forcefully because something vibrant and alive within demands the space to profoundly expand. This breaking is not a punishment, it is a sacred permission. Nothing is falling apart randomly. Rather, the parts of your identity that never truly belonged to you are gracefully dissolving under the immense weight of your burgeoning authenticity. You may feel emotionally raw, mentally stretched thin, and spiritually tender. But this is the profound, sacred vulnerability that precedes every true rebirth. This is the essential clearing before the inevitable breakthrough. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding the version of you that settled for far less than who you were always destined to become. This collapse is not a descent into darkness. It is, in fact, the illuminated doorway to your own glorious emergence. As you journey deeper into this profound karmic unraveling, the signs of your awakening will inevitably intensify in ways that become impossible to dismiss or rationalize away. Your senses will sharpen far beyond their normal boundaries. You might suddenly perceive subtle emotional undertones in conversations that others completely overlook, or sense nuanced, energetic shifts in the atmosphere long before a specific situation fully unfolds. There will be moments where your body feels profoundly weighed down with an almost mystical exhaustion, as though it is recalibrating at a deep cellular level, followed by stretches of almost electric clarity where your mind feels illuminated by a knowing beyond conventional thought. Your dreams will become richer, more vivid, and alive with potent symbols, clear messages, and scenes that feel like glimpses into parallel realities, echoes of past life memories, or profound future premonitions. People you haven't spoken to in years may appear in these dreams, carrying vital messages or offering a deep sense of emotional closure. Places you've never physically visited might feel strangely, profoundly familiar. Understand that these dreams are not random imagery. They are direct communications from the deeper layers of your consciousness as it powerfully awakens. Your intuition will become more insistent, more visceral, and incredibly magnetic. You may feel unexpected urges to avoid certain situations or people, or experience a sudden, undeniable knowing that guides you toward new choices without any logical explanation. You might sense a strong pull toward healing, toward creative expression, toward solitude, or toward deeper connection. These intuitive impulses will arrive with a newfound weight, a seriousness, and a clarity that feels distinctly different from normal thoughts. They resonate like undeniable guidance. Your emotional body will also heighten. You will feel more deeply, not because you've become fragile, but because the option of numbness is simply no longer available. Emotions will rise quickly, move swiftly, and clear rapidly. You will sense your desires becoming more precise, your boundaries becoming more natural and firm, and your patience for anything inauthentic shrinking to absolute zero. You will feel yourself vibrating on a frequency that your old self was never aligned with, a frequency where truth resounds louder than ever, and deception, especially self-deception, finds no place to hide. You may even experience various physical sensations, a distinct pressure around your forehead, a gentle fluttering in your chest, a warmth radiating in your hands, a tingling sensation along your spine, or alternating sensations of heaviness or lightness that come and go without any conventional medical explanation. None of this is random. This is your inner world, waking from a long spiritual hibernation. This is your soul, actively reconfiguring itself to operate at a higher, more expansive level of consciousness. These are not symptoms to fear. They are powerful signs of spiritual maturation. They signal readiness. They signal evolution. They signal the turning of a karmic key deep within you. There comes a definitive moment in every profound awakening when the cherished illusions you once relied on as emotional shelter begin to fracture, revealing uncomfortable truths you were simply never ready to confront until now. These illusions were never failures. They were, in fact, necessary layers of protection, soft, comforting veils your consciousness cleverly created to help you survive experiences you didn't yet possess the inner tools to fully understand or process. But now, these veils are perceptibly thinning. The potent light of your growing awareness is simply too strong for them to hold their form any longer. You begin to question everything you once accepted without a moment's hesitation. Relationships you believed were stable start to reveal their underlying imbalances. Roles you played without conscious thought suddenly begin to feel suffocating. Jobs, routines, habits, and even identities you once believed wholly defined you now feel profoundly misaligned, hollow, or strangely foreign to your evolving self. It feels as though a thick veil is being gently, yet firmly peeled back from your very perception, exposing hidden motivations beneath your choices, subtle fears beneath your reactions, and unspoken truths beneath your silence. You might suddenly see with searing clarity where you have been abandoning yourself, where you settled for less than you deserved, where you tolerated what inherently hurt you, where you stayed quiet to be loved, or where you deliberately dimmed your own light to make others feel more comfortable. You will acutely notice instances where your intuition whispered crucial warnings that you chose to ignore, where you moved against your own deepest desires to avoid conflict or the pain of rejection. It becomes utterly impossible to unsee these profound revelations. This experience is not meant to shame you. It is unequivocally meant to free you. When illusion gracefully dissolves, you gain the extraordinary power to reclaim your choices with absolute clarity and renewed purpose. You begin to intrinsically understand why certain cycles repeatedly played out, why particular heartbreaks occurred, or why specific connections never truly aligned with your soul's path. The clarity arriving now is not merely intellectual, it is soul clarity. The kind of truth that fundamentally rearranges your entire understanding of yourself and your place in the world. The illusion breaks open so that your expansive future can open alongside it. You are not being exposed, you are being revealed in your authentic splendor. You are not being punished, you are being awakened to your highest potential. And this awakening is the profound beginning of your liberation, the sacred moment where truth becomes the unshakable foundation upon which your next, truer life will be consciously built. At this transformative stage, you may experience a profound sense of pieces of yourself returning. Dreams you once long abandoned suddenly reignite with passionate fervor. Desires you deeply buried begin to glow softly and persistently within you. And cherished memories of who you were before the world shaped you into something else gracefully drift back into your conscious awareness. This is soul retrieval at its purest and most potent. Parts of you that once fragmented under the immense weight of trauma, heartbreak, disappointment, or fear are now actively finding their way back home into your integrated being. You might feel sudden, exhilarating bursts of creativity, vivid reminders of old passions, or an undeniable longing for experiences you once deeply loved. You may beautifully reconnect with aspects of yourself you mistakenly thought were lost forever. Your innate innocence, your fierce courage, your boundless curiosity, your vibrant inner fire. These precious fragments return not as fleeting nostalgia, but as powerful restoration. Your soul is meticulously piecing itself back together, so you can powerfully rise as an integrated, truly empowered being. You are reclaiming every lost shard of your identity, every silenced truth, every abandoned dream. And with each profound return, your energy becomes undeniably stronger, clearer, and more perfectly aligned with the magnificent person you were always destined to become. You may find yourself feeling increasingly disconnected from the life you once intimately inhabited, almost as if you are gracefully drifting away from your old reality in slow, subtle, yet utterly unmistakable waves. This shift isn't always dramatic. More often, it manifests as a quiet reorientation, a gentle loosening, a silent peeling away from what once felt profoundly familiar and secure. Conversations that once deeply engaged you now feel strangely empty or superficial. Habits that once brought comfort now feel heavy on your spirit, like an anchor you no longer need. Relationships that once perfectly aligned with your path now feel energetically distant, like faint echoes of a past version of you, rather than vital companions of your present evolution. Even dreams you held for years may begin gently dissolving, not because you failed them, but because they no longer resonate with the magnificent person you are actively becoming. This is not confusion. This is a powerful, energetic separation. Your soul is consciously detaching from the timeline that once defined your very identity. Timelines are not merely external circumstances. They are intricate vibrational pathways, emotional trajectories, and a tapestry of choices woven from the fabric of your consciousness. And you are simply no longer aligned with the frequency of the person you used to be. As your vibration profoundly shifts, your old timeline begins to feel foreign, as though you are walking through a world that is still familiar to your mind, but no longer resonant with your spirit. You might feel physically present in your current life, yet energetically elsewhere, as if a deeper part of you is already living in a future you cannot yet fully perceive, but can undeniably feel within your bones. You may sense yourself observing your old world from a gentle distance, like watching a movie you no longer feel a part of. This is because your awareness is rising far beyond the emotional gravity of your past. You are outgrowing patterns you once thought you'd live with forever. You are shedding identities you once believed were permanent. The energetic cords that tied you to old versions of yourself are unraveling slowly, lovingly, and intentionally, as if the universe is meticulously clearing the runway for your next grand evolution. This unraveling may indeed feel unsettling at times, but it is not abandonment, it is profound alignment. You are not drifting without purpose, you are rising into a higher energetic truth. You are not becoming disconnected, you are becoming exquisitely refined. The world you once meticulously built was constructed for who you were then, not for who you are, powerfully becoming now. And now, the universe is gently yet firmly guiding you toward a timeline where your true purpose, your inherent power, and your authentic self can harmoniously coexist. This separation is the essential bridge between realities. You are stepping into the frequency of your next becoming, and your old timeline can simply no longer hold you because it was never designed for the magnificent fullness of your ongoing evolution. When old patterns resurface, the mind may feel overwhelmed, but the heart, in its infinite wisdom, becomes clearer and wiser.